Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming. We're going to get started. The vast majority of the folks for this meeting are on Zoom. So those 24 of you or so that are in the room, thanks for coming in person. I appreciate that. I'm not looking at you guys, but I'll be mostly looking at this stuff. But if we could all start, do the Pledge of Allegiance, Scout Oath and Law. Those in uniform, salute, if not hand on heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. With for all, and the Scout sign, do the Scout oath. On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country. Take the Scout law to help other people at all times. Keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. And the Scout law, the Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. 2, everybody may be seated. Again, welcome everyone. Thanks for coming. It's hard to believe camp is already here almost, or it will be very soon. For those of you who are at home on the Zoom, I'm going to ask you to, if you could just mute yourself, that would be a big help. And if you have any questions, for those of you, especially on the Zoom, put them in the chat and I will stop at the very end and go through and answer all the questions in the chat. So if it doesn't get answered by the end, put it in the chat and I will come back and visit that. I'm kind of a one-man show here today, so I don't have somebody to wingman the questions in the chat. So I'm going to be going through a lot of the stuff and then we'll go through the questions and stuff later. So they will be a little bit out of order, but I appreciate your patience with that. If you're at home, if you want to go to the Goose Pond website and go to the Leaders Resource page, we're going to be kind of walking through the Leader's Guide a little bit. And so you could follow along with us if 100 people going to the website don't crash it at one time. I do see we have 99 people on Zoom, so that's quite the turnout. But if you can't get on, that's fine. Again, I'll be following along in the Leader's Guide a little bit just to go through some stuff. For those of you who have been to Goose Pond before, no drastic changes. Thanks for coming anyway. I'm going to go through a lot of stuff. It'll be a good reminder for some of you. Some of you are new. Many of you are brand new to Goose Pond, and so I'll probably not give you guys enough information. And the people who've been to Goose Pond before, I'll probably give you too much information. So I'll try and hit the midpoint there, and we'll see where it goes. But again, if you have any questions, either throw them in the chat, or if you're here in the room, kind of do that. So that's kind of what we're going to do today. I am overwhelmed again with our attendance here at Goose Pond this summer. In 2024, we broke an attendance record at Goose Pond, and I thought, wow, that's great. Maybe I can retire now. But in 2025, we broke the 2024 record. And we are going into our 2026 season pretty well sold out, almost, not quite, but almost. So we'll see what happens. We're certainly kind of at our capacity. So again, I am overwhelmed by the amount of folks who want to be part of our experience here at Goose Pond. So thank you very much for that. There's a note at the end of the slideshow, but thank you very much for talking up Goose Pond, putting us in the different chat groups, in the chat rooms, the online message boards, whatever, bringing people into Goose Pond from near and far. So thanks for all the good reputation and talk about Goose Pond and bringing people in. So appreciate that. All right, we'll get right into it. So on the slide up in the top corner there, I have some little page numbers there that in the top right you could kind of refer to if you want. But this should be a slide that this should be a document that a lot of people have seen already a couple of times. It's that pre-camp leaders information sheet that's been out since back in September. So let's talk about the fees a little bit and the fee payments for camp. Again, just so you know, our regular camp price is $535 this year, but if you pay in full on May 15th, it brings it down to $505. So that's the date you want to watch out for. It is a Friday, May 15th. So if you want that early bird discount, it's a $30 discount. You need to pay in full with a roster here to the service center. If you any kind of payments you give to us, they need to be associated with names. So if you're paying for extra leaders, if you're paying for scouts, there needs to be a roster that comes with that payment, so that we are associating names with payments. There's a generic roster on the website if you want to use that to make your payments with. But you could also put your scouts into the online registry. We'll talk about that later, and print out a roster from there. And that'll help as well, leaders as well. So that's a big deal. Um, we don't really have an online portal per se to pay for people online. If you want to pay online with a credit card, just ask me. I can send you a secure link to do that, but you will incur a 3% surcharge on credit card fees. One of the other things that we ask that you as troops collect all the money from your scouts and then write one check, right? Write one check or a couple checks, right? One big one and then maybe one or two add-ons, small checks for the add-on scouts after May 15th. All right. So please do not send all of your scouts up individually to pay here at the scout office. If credit card is the only way that they can pay for camp, and you can't do that as a troop, we can accommodate that as well. But those would be major exceptions rather than the rule. So again, collect all your fee payments from all your scouts and all your leaders, and get that one big check ready to be here by May 15th. Either has to be here in the house by May 15th or postmarked by May 15th. Remember the postman? Remember the U.S. Post Office? They're still in business, and they put postmarks on things. So if it's postmarked by the 15th, we're good to go. So keep that in mind. I think we're pretty generous with our payment schedule on May 15th. We push that out a lot further than a lot of other camps do. So again, just some things on there on page 6. You can see what some of those additional fees are there for if you want to have a second week camper, or if you have any additional leaders, what the fees are for that, how that works, provisional, that kind of stuff. Those fees are all posted there. The leader fee ratios are there, how many free leaders you get for how many scouts you bring to camp. So that's posted there on page 6. You could figure that out on your own pretty much. Refunds, just again, be cautious about that. Our refund policy is posted on our website. It's also on page 7 there. I always say if you have scouts on the fence who really aren't sure if they're coming to camp, it's probably better to pay that extra $30 later than pay for them up front and then not get the money refunded, right? So while we are sympathetic to life things that happen in life with refunds, oftentimes there's tears because somebody changed their mind or something better came along, and we have denied a refund on that. So again, if you have scouts who are on the fence or not sure, I always hear, well, the troop paid for that, and they decided they're not coming. Well, make sure your scouts are coming before the troop pays for that scout to come to camp. Again, depending on the reason, those fees may not be refundable. So for reasons of choice, if a scout chooses not to come to camp, those fees are generally not refundable. But be careful about that. Obviously, if you have somebody who, somebody drops, somebody wants to take their place, we can transfer most of that fee over, and that's pretty straightforward. So make sure your families are aware of what that refund and cancellation policy is as well. That's on the top of page 7. Just some additional notes about registration. Again, as I mentioned, yes, you can register campers after May 15th, subject to space availability. I never thought I'd have to say that, but I do. So subject to space availability. And again, after time fees after May 15th. And again, we do always give a courtesy to those AOLs or new scouts who just joined off the street after the May 15th and decide they want to go to camp. Sometimes we can give them the courtesy of the May 15th discount. So again, I think by now most of your AOLs should be crossed over or will be crossing over very shortly. For whatever reason, some packs don't cross their scouts over till May, maybe still. So if you get some late crossovers and they want to go to camp, we can give them that discount, but you need to communicate with me on that ahead of time. And contact me early too. So, and sometimes you pick up a brand new scout off the street too, a week or two before camp, and they want to come to camp with the rest of the scouts. So we can give them a courtesy on that. Again, I mentioned send payments and rosters to the office. If you have a really late add-on, if you have one scout or something that really wants to come to camp and you're like 7, 8, 10 days out of camp, update the registry with their name and then bring the payment with you to camp. Sometimes if you come in here a couple days before camp at the scout office or you drop it in the mail, it doesn't get to Goose Pond ahead of time, and there's a little disjoint there. So if you have a late ad, like it's a couple days or a week before camp, add them to the registry. I'll see it, and then bring the payment with you to camp for check-in. Hopefully that makes sense. And again, don't forget 3% added for credit card fees, whether that's in person or online. All right, person or online. All right. Hopefully that covers that. Camperships. For those of you who are from the Northeastern Pennsylvania Council, we have campership assistance available for scouts in need, families who have that financial need. The forms are available. They're on the website. I have some in the back here for those in person if you need them. The due date for those is April 15th. Please reach out. Please get those applications in. They're very easy. There's not a lot of information we're asking on there, but one of the big things that happens is scouts get turned away because the forms are incomplete. They don't fill out all the stuff. The signatures aren't there. There's a few things we really need on there, and if those things are missing, the forms get bounced back. Sometimes we do a second round after April 15th. We kind of go through all the applications we have shortly after April 15th and kind of allocate the vast majority of the money that we have available to those scouts who got those applications in on time. We do sometimes save a little money for some emergencies and after-time stuff, but occasionally we do a kind of a second round for lates or emergencies or, oh my goodness, I can't believe I forgot kind of thing. So keep that in mind. And again, I will always say this, whether you're in council or out of council, if you have a scout in need, come and talk to me. I would never want to see a scout not be able to come to camp because of financial need. We'll see what we can do. But again, our campership program is for our scouts from Northeastern Pennsylvania Council who are going to Goose Pond. I do apologize for those of you out of council, but there are lots of options for you guys as well out there to get some funding for your scouts if you need them. Just talk to me if you need some help on that. April 15th, magic day on that. All right. All right, kind of moving ahead to page 8. Again, nothing new, medical stuff. If you've been to Goose Pond before, nothing new. The Scouting America medical form has not changed in some time. It's still the same one. It's still on the National Scout website. It's still fillable. When you go to that page for medical forms on the nationalscouting.org page, you have to scroll down to the little second section where it says, "Are you going to camp?" And that's the medical form you want. The first one is not the right one, but the second one is, "Are you going to summer camp?" That's the one you want. There's a third one there now, "Are you going to the Jamboree?" But "Are you going to summer camp?" That's the one you need. It has 4 pages and 3 parts, a B1, a B2, and a C. Yeah, and this is elementary stuff, right? I think we all know this, but there are still troops who come to camp without medical forms. That's probably one of the basic things you got to know. But make sure now is a great time to start rounding up those medical forms from your scouts, talking to your families about getting them done, getting them figured out. Part C is that doctor's signature, physical by a physician. You also need to include with your medical form a photocopy of your insurance card, front and back. Some doctors or some pediatrician's office will print out a copy of all your immunizations. Instead of writing them on the form, you could just attach them. That's okay. Page B2 is the update section. You can put any updates in there, change in health from the year before, especially if maybe a scout got a medical form 6 or 8 months ago, and since then has had some issues or things that we need to know about. So that page B2 is where you kind of put up all the updates and any other changes that may have had since the medical form was signed by the physician. Bring your medical forms with you to camp. Please don't send them in advance. We're generally dealing with the scouts who are at camp, and so we don't have a lot of time to deal with the forms from the next week. So bring them to camp with you. Don't digitize them and email them to us. Bring them to camp with you. Scoutmasters, camp leaders, you guys, that's a great thing to assign to somebody in the troop. Hey, you could be the medical officer and collect all these medical forms and make sure they're completed, make sure they're signed, make sure that insurance card is there, all that kind of stuff. The other thing we ask, again, don't put them in a binder in plastic sleeves. That slows up the process, right? We have to pull them out of every sleeve. Our medical staff, our check-in staff has to look at all those medical forms, so we want to be able to see them. So if they're in a binder, take them out of the binder, unless they're flippable, unless we can flip through every single page. And alpha order is helpful too. So that's it on medical stuff. Again, nothing new there. pretty straightforward. Great thing to start doing. I know some people have asked me about, when do medical forms really expire, right? Well, you're supposed to have an annual physical, but the technical letter of the law that Scouting America has out there is that the medical form is good to the last day of the month from the month it was issued a year previous. So if you had a scout who got a medical on June 15th, 2025, it's technically good till June 30th, 2026, right? It's good to the end of the month, right? But it's always good to get an update, always good to get an update. So many things happen in our young people's lives. So always get to good updates on that. And just some other stuff there on page 6 that's in there. Medications, especially. Scouts with medications, bring them in original bottles. We want to see those in original bottles. Put all the bottles together in a Ziploc bag with the scout's name and troop number on it. And put those medications that a scout is taking should be listed in the medication section on the medical form. That often doesn't happen. We have a scout who comes to camp with a bag full of meds, and there's nothing listed on his or her medical form about those meds. So all that stuff should kind of match up. So that's something for people to take a look at. Keep those meds together, put them in original containers. Just send enough for the week. We don't need a whole big bottle, but send enough for the week. Put them in a Ziploc with the scout's name and troop number on it, and we will take it from there. All right. A couple other things on page 8, scouts with special needs, any special requests. There's a unit analysis and special needs form that's on the website. That's a great form to send to me in advance. It's one of the forms I ask you to send in advance if at all possible. It really helps us, gives us an overview of the troop. It kind of reaffirms how many people you're bringing to camp. It tells us where you're from, and it tells us if there's any special needs that we need to be aware of. That the troop or any of the scouts or leaders in the troop may have, right? So we always do our best to accommodate that. And the more advance notice, the better, obviously. The more advance notice, the better. The third section down on page 6 there is our dietary stuff. So that is a busy thing right now. A lot of scouts, a lot of leaders have special dietary needs. So special dietary needs, there's a special form that you need to put your special dietary needs form on, or special dietary needs on the form, and get it to us in 2 weeks in advance of camp. All right. I give those forms to Bill, our chef, about a week in advance. So I kind of pre-screen them, organize them a little bit, and I give them to Bill a week in advance so he can prepare. So that's why I ask 2 weeks in advance for the dietary forms. If you walk in the door with a special dietary form, sometimes we can't accommodate that, right? Because it's a walk in the door, we didn't know about it, we don't have the grocery store in the backyard. So unfortunately, we'll always do our best. Bill does a great job with that. I don't know how he manages all that stuff, but he does a great job managing all those special dietary issues. But there is a form for that needs to be submitted in advance. Bringing your own supplemental food is also a great option. I know Bill always tell you that. If you have something special, you have picky eaters, you have people with special needs, certain things that they like to eat to supplement that need, bring it to camp. We're happy to store it. Bill's happy to cook it, that kind of stuff. So that's always an option too. So tell your parents that as well. Sometimes we can't find a happy medium, and sending your own stuff is always a good way to do that. Or a few things to supplement what we already have, some of those favorites. And just remember, for dining hall seatings, we have our breakfast and dinner, our family style, and the tables seat 8 people. So if you're doing a duty roster, SPLs, that's a good note for SPLs, duty rosters, 8 people at a table, and you need a waiter for each table. Our lunch is a cafeteria style. Scouts need to select the lunch either at 12 or 1 o'clock in the merit badge registry. We'll talk a little more about that in a minute. And that's a cafeteria style. They can kind of come in, eat, and go. Little quicker, and you don't need a waiter for that. All right.
Hey, the slides are not advancing. I don't know if you're aware of that.
I didn't advance them yet. We're still on medical stuff. So here we go. We're moving ahead. We were talking about medical and special needs, but we are just so you know, on page 9. I don't have a slide for this. I don't have a slide for every single page, but thank you. On page 9, just a couple highlights there. That column there on the right-hand side, that's a great thing. Maybe you want to photocopy and hand out to your scouts. Checklist of what to bring to camp, especially those new scouts who've never been. That's a great resource there for that. And then, of course, there's a shorter list for the troop as well that you could take a look at. A few other things there on page 9. I get a lot of emails from parents. What kind of currency do you take at the trading post? We do not take Bitcoin, but we take just about everything else. We do have a nice new tap to pay thing. So if you have a watch or phone with Apple Pay or whatever kind of tap to pay stuff, we do take that at the trading post, as well as, of course, cash and checks, and credit cards, regular cards. I know leaders often ask me, is there Wi-Fi available? Can I come to camp? Do I have to do some work? I have to log into a meeting? Yes, there is Wi-Fi at camp for adult leaders. For those of you who've been to Goose Pond, you know that. For those of you who haven't, right around the main camp buildings, there's a pretty good Wi-Fi for you to find a quiet spot and log in and do what you need to do if you need to. I think that's it there. All right, now kind of matching back up with the slide that I have on the screen, I want to talk a little bit about leadership requirements for camp. Again, this should be nothing new for those of you who are experienced scout leaders, but again, your troop needs to have at least two 21-year-olds, all right, who are registered in Scouting America. And if you have any females in your troop, either if you're co-ed or a female troop, you need at least one female. We recommend one adult for every 7 to 8 scouts that you bring to camp. That seems to be a pretty good ratio. That's kind of the way our free leader ratios work as well. So that one for every 7 to 8 is kind of a good number. People ask me, how many leaders do we need if we bring 50 scouts? And there you go. You can figure it out. Adults, I think most of you know this, but all adults staying overnight must be registered in the troop. We have a couple dads who are coming up for a couple nights. No, unless they're registered in the troop. We have a couple leaders from the pack who want to come up and see what's going on at summer camp with the troop. No, they have to be registered in the troop if they're staying overnight. Right? So they have to be registered in the troop, not just registered in Scouting America, registered in the troop. That's a national thing. All right, so all adults staying over, even if it's one night, they still have to be registered in the troop. And what else? They have to have a current medical form, right? A full medical form, parts A, B, and C. All right, if they're staying over, because it's resident camp, even though maybe it's less than 72 hours, because it's resident camp, still need a full medical form to do all the stuff that we do at summer camp. So please pass that along to your adult leaders as well. I had not a lot. We had some issues last year with adult leaders who said, I'm only coming up for one night. I didn't know I needed a medical form. Please tell all your scouts who are coming up for one night, all your leaders who are coming for one night, you need a full completed medical form. Just like the scouts do. And additionally, I think everybody knows this, but if you haven't taken the new safeguarding youth training, that is mandatory by May 31st, 2026. So by May 31st, before any camp starts this year at Goose Pond, everybody needs to have that new safeguarding youth training done. So if you did it last year, you're probably still good. If you did it at rechartering time, you're still good. If you're still riding your coattails on the old one, you got to do the new one by May 31st. If you're a co-ed family troop, I really need to know how many male and how many female youth you're bringing. We have more and more co-ed troops coming to camp, so I do need to know that. That'll be there. There's various ways you can let me know that through the online registry, through the roster you submit when you make your payment, through the unit analysis form, or just sending me an email. Part of the reason I asked you to fill out that survey about today's meeting kind of helps me get a little tracking on that. I know some of the troops who made reservations for Goose Pond last summer weren't co-ed troops at the time. Now they are, and I may not know that. So unless you haven't told me that, I don't know that. So again, co-ed family troops, we kind of need to know that. And of course, you need your female adult leadership as well. All right. Let's see if there's anything else I highlighted in here that I wanted to do. I know, again, some of the troops sometimes have been staying together for a while. You're bringing some additional scouts or kind of another troop with you, kind of provisional troop, sort of. I know some people do that. I've seen more and more of that as we go. Our troop only has 2 or 3 scouts, and we're sending them with Troop 50, for example. So if you're doing that, just kind of let me know that. You can register them with your troop. That's easy to do. Or if you're sharing leadership with another troop, maybe you only have one leader, and you've already made arrangements to stay together and you're sharing leadership, just let me know that. All right, that's kind of just something I need to keep eyes on. On page 11, that's a great page there for the SPLs and for the camp leaders to just kind of go down. Hey, what should I be doing now? Where are we now? There's a good checklist there. What you should be doing before camp and what you need to do during camp, and the same for the SPLs. I I'd say maybe I'm preaching to the choir today, but those of you who registered for this meeting are probably the people I had as the main points of contact for the troop in the database. If someone else shared that with you, I do not have that if you didn't get an email from me directly, then you may not be the person I have listed as the main leader for camp. Or if you're on the call today or you're here in the room today and you're not the main leader for camp, please let me know that so I can add that person's email to the communications for camp. I could count on 2 hands how many troops came to camp last year, and the person who came to camp with the troop, the leader who came to camp with the troop, had no prior communication from us at all because someone else made the reservation and they just came to camp and they didn't know what was going on. So we want to make sure your scouts have a great experience. You guys have a great experience. So I do try to communicate as much as possible in advance, largely through email. So that's just a side note there. Just a couple things on page 14 there with our camp policies. And if I'm highlighting things, it's usually things that have popped up as pitfalls over the years. But we do not allow bicycles at Goose Pond. I know some camps do that. We do not allow bicycles for transport at Goose Pond. If you're taking cycling merit badge, you can bring your bike, that's fine, but it's not to be used for traveling around. We do ask that if you're traveling from out of state, please do not bring firewood with you. We're trying to help the environment and not spread the bugs around too much. We also have firewood available for you at a nominal fee, lots of it. We'll even give you extra this year. We have so much of it we have to get rid of. And then the other thing I wanted to point out there on page 11 is vehicles and trailers. People often, there's always a lot of consternation about this when people get to camp. We do not allow 1 car per troop to be parked in the campsite. We don't allow any cars to be parked in the campsite. So please keep that in mind. Yes, you can bring a trailer to camp, but it needs to be unhitched from the towing vehicle and it needs to be safe and stable, right? So those are kind of our rules there on vehicles and trailers, so you can hit that up. Trailers need to be safe. I don't know why people bring trailers to camp in the first place, but that's still a mystery to me. Anyway, if you want to bring your trailer, you're fine to do that. But some of you guys have trailers that are close to semis. I don't know how you manage it, but I don't know what you need in there. But anyway, uh, try to pack light. Try to pack light. We have everything you need. Okay. The other thing there, maybe on page 15, just to highlight there, it's a little bit about the safeguarding youth and safeguarding youth training, safety stuff for scouts. But near toward the bottom there, there's a little asterisk there about appropriate attire. That might be something you want to share with your scout families too. What's appropriate attire for summer camp? Kind of our policy there. So take a look at that attire policy and some guidelines there on page 15. All right. All right. So check in, check out. Again, I try to help you guys be prepared as possible for that first day at camp. That's always kind of the busiest thing. Lots of things going on, lots of moving parts. On the website, I've created this document. It's called your quick check. So all the stuff, there's a 2-page document that if you want to just see what you need to be doing and getting ready for camp, a month or so out, take a look at this. This document walks you right through that. Also on page 18, pretty much has more or less the same stuff. But the one online is kind of a printable thing, and you can kind of go down there and just check it, right? It's going to tell you exactly what's going to happen on day 1, how it's going to happen, what we're going to ask for, when we're going to ask for it, and all that stuff. So I tried to put together kind of I'll call it a cliff notes, right, of what to do to be ready for check-in day. All right. So check that out. That's a helpful item. All right, just some stuff about reservations. So May 15th is our big payment deadline. Most of you get the vast majority of your payments in by then, and that gives us a really, really good idea of how many scouts and leaders you're bringing to camp by that point. Again, you can still add to it, but most of you don't add too many after that point in time. So that's when I try and make our final campsite assignments for the summer. Again, as I said, we are largely sold out this summer, so it is really a puzzle to fit everybody in, especially with our co-ed troops, our female troops, all that kind of stuff, that all factors into the puzzle. After June 1st, after the May 15th dust settles a little bit, I will kind of go and start putting that puzzle together and assign troops to campsites. That campsite assignment still could change by the time you get to camp based on actual attendance at that point. I try not to do that as much as humanly possible, but sometimes it happens. So that's really good to keep in mind, right? Just it's not a promise. When I send out that email in early June about where everybody's going to be camping and what their campsites are going to be, asterisk could change. Probably won't, but it could. Right? It does happen sometimes. And yes, when I make those assignments, I always kind of look at the troops who kind of stay together, and I know kind of who likes to do that for the most part. Most of you have let me know that over the years, who you like to stay with, and campsite preferences, et cetera. And of course, provisional campers are always welcome. If you have any scouts who want to come for a second week, or you have scouts who can't come to camp the week your troop is going, but still want to come to summer camp, they can go provisional with another troop. The way you can do that is you can make arrangements with another troop directly to send them with that troop, kind of just add them on as an add-on roster, or you could send them troop provisionally, fill out the form, send it to me, and I'll make the arrangements. And many of you especially from NEPA Council, have been great about helping host provisionals and second week campers over the course of the summer. So we appreciate that. All right, here's the list. These are, I know it's hard to read, sorry. If you have to get up to see that, if you're in the room, check it out. Please look to see if your troop is in the right date that you're signed up for camp. If you're not, that could be a problem. I have also tried to identify which troops I know are now family troops, co-ed troops. I've put together any troops that I knew were linked, either with a boy or girl troop. Many of you have the same numbers or similar numbers, so that's easy to do. But sometimes there's a boys troop and a girls troop that are linked that have different numbers, and I may have missed that. So please let me know that so I can make sure I put you guys together in the same campsites. Yeah, hopefully you're all there. If you're not there, you're in the wrong place. Please let me know as soon as humanly possible. There are several weeks, and well, throughout the course of summer, there are some same numbers that have repeated. So if you see your number on there twice, it probably just means it's another troop. But at least if your troop is in the right place on the right week, let me know. Okay. And these are kind of in numerical order, give or take. You can kind of look down quickly and see if your troop is there. I know some of you have varied numbers. Sometimes you go by troop 2, but you're really troop 5032 or troop 71, 1071, something like that. So if there's any differences here, please email me and let me know about that. This document is also on the website. So if you can't see it or whatever on the screen, you can go quick online and look, see the exact document. I think that was it. As far as that stuff goes. Again, if you haven't done the survey that I sent out, please do that. That's really helpful in managing that. We do have a little bit of room in week 7. A couple other troops, a couple other weeks, there might be a little bit of room, a little wiggle room here and there, but really not too much. So, yeah, it is what it is. All right, and then I did highlight on the bottom of page 18, Saturday, when you're leaving camp, please plan to be gone by 10 a.m. Please plan to be gone. We love you very much. We're going to miss you very much, but please plan to be gone by 10 a.m. That's a good thing to talk to your families about in advance, arranging those rides. And we'll go over more of that at camp, but just so you know in advance when you're doing your camp planning. Page 21, that's kind of our just daily schedule at the pond. For those of you who've been there before, you know kind of our general routine, but for those of you who haven't, this is kind of what our Sunday or Saturday and our weekdays look like. People often ask me what goes on in the afternoons because there's not merit badges. So the last merit badge session is at 1. And people always ask me, well, what exactly goes on in the afternoons from 2 to 5? Those of you who've been there know it's a chock full adventure full of a lot of stuff going on, including our 2 o'clock patrol programming and lots of open area and free time and specials and all kinds of stuff. So there's a little paragraph on the bottom, page 21, that talks a little bit about what open area and free time looks like and some of the kind of things that we do during that time. And if you need more information on what happens there, let me know or reach out to a troop that's been to Goose Pond. They'll tell you kind of what happens there. All right. Next slide is kind of just a smattering of some things just to highlight. Page 23 talks about our Pathways program. That's our program for new scouts, first-year campers or first-year scouts who are coming to camp, who are younger, who substantially need to work on all those requirements from scout to first class. And we kind of run that program for them. Sometimes if you have a scout who maybe joined late and maybe is 16 or 15 or 14 or 13, maybe you want to just work with them independently to get them up to rank. Oftentimes the Pathways program is primarily those 10 and 11-year-olds and some 12-year-olds. So a 15 or 17-year-old might feel awkward in that, not look, but feel awkward in that group with a lot of younger scouts. So, but anyway, the vast majority, 99% of the scouts who come to camp, the first year campers are 10 or 11 years old. So keep that in mind. That program runs from 9 to 12 every day. You can select that on the registry as Pathways, and it'll highlight the 9 through 12 slots right on the registry. 12 o'clock, we recommend that they take the lunch. They need the break. As we say, they need that break after 3 hours of scouting together in a group. They need that break for lunch, and then we recommend the handicraft duo at 1 o'clock or another merit badge at 1 o'clock. I'll talk some more about that in a minute. But yeah, there's a whole page there on page 23 about the Pathways program if you want more information about that, how that works, some of the philosophy behind that and whatnot. Patrols and patrol program on page 24. I alluded to that just a minute ago. 2 o'clock is our patrol programming time. It's something that's been really popular. The scouts really like it, Goose Pond. Just games and activities for the patrols in all the areas from 2 to 3 every day. So there's really nothing else going on except patrol programming from 2 to 3 every day. It really is a great time. The scouts, we've gotten so much feedback, so much positive feedback year after year about the patrol programming. So that's kind of a thing. And that changes all the time. We usually announce what's going on each day for patrol programming. The scouts don't have to pre-sign up for it. Over breakfast, they can decide what patrol programming maybe they want to do that day and just show up and do it. They don't need to sign up. And there's at least 6 different things going on every day for the most part in patrol programming at 2 o'clock in all the different areas. Most of it's just for fun. Most of it's just for competition and just have a good time and experience things with your patrol. So that's that. That's on page 24 if you want to read some more about that. Our whole merit badge section, obviously a big component of our programming at camp is on pages 25 to 29. So you can read through a lot of that there. Couple things, I guess, please read through with your scout the difficulty ratings, the prerequisites that are needed for the merit badges. Take some time with your assistant scoutmasters, work with each scout to develop a good schedule. We'll talk more about that page that has the difficulty ratings and stuff on it in a minute, but on page 28 that has that. Try and plan a good program for your scouts that is appropriate for their skill level and their age and their abilities, that kind of stuff. I see this fairly regularly, a couple times each week. We have to change a merit badge because a scout signed up for a merit badge that he or she already has. So I don't know how that happens, but I don't know how you could not remember that you took a merit badge. I guess it wasn't that memorable, but kind of watch out for that too. Another pitfall we see scouts trying to do that. So on the lower half there, the top lower half of page 25, there's that bold section with the asterisk. This is just something I put in there over the years. kind of keep in mind the location of the badges at camp, and how you want to make up that schedule for that scout. So if you want to look at the camp map on page 38 or whatever that page is, you can see kind of where our various program areas are. Across the lake is our scout craft and our shooting ranges. Uh, and then on the nearer side where the campsites are our other program areas. Um, Cope, nature, handicraft, aquatics. So keep those things in mind, right? If you try to work with your scout and kind of look at that map a little bit. If you sign up your scout for archery at 9, climbing at 10, um, rifle at 11, and something at handicraft at 12, they're going to hate you because they're going to have to go across the lake, back, across the lake, and back. So try and maybe do that. So maybe if you're going to do everything across the lake, that's fine, or maybe half and half, or split it. I know sometimes the schedule doesn't work out perfectly because of what you want, but try to keep that in mind, that back and forth around the lake. It's not really far. It's not like you're going 17 miles across the lake, but it is a walk. It is brisk, and you don't have a lot of time in between. You have to kind of move with haste. So you can read that bold point there on page 25. Uh, it's a brisk 10 to 12 minute walk from nature to scoutcraft, for example. So we do try and let the scouts have that 15-minute time change period. That doesn't always work. I get it, but our counselors are forgiving about it for the most part. But we try to get everybody to make it through in those couple time frames. So kind of keep that in mind when you're planning a schedule for your scout. That's the biggest thing I guess I could say is scoutmasters, SPLs, work with your scouts to plan a good program for them that's going to work, that they like, that's accomplishable, that's not going to keep going back and forth across the lake 17 times, et cetera. So um, keep that in mind. Uh, the online registry. So let's talk about that for a minute. I'm going to do a quick demo here. Just give me a second. It's not open yet. We're going to talk about that very briefly. So our online registry will open around April 15th. I try to have it open by April 15th, but if it's not open on April 15th, don't come knocking on my door. It's around about April 15th-ish, it'll open. So you'll get an email in advance when it's open. It'll tell you it's open. It'll tell you what your login and password are. So that's for the people I have in my database as the camp contact leaders. They will get that email from me in advance of the Merit Badge Registry being open. So again, it's going to be around April 15th. It's the same registry we've been using for some time. It does not connect into Scoutbook. So it's just kind of a standalone registry. It's really easy to use. It's really simple. It works really well. It does not connect to Scoutbook, so keep those things in mind. But once you log in, I just logged in using a troop that was at Goose Pond last year, and this is the pay. Once you log in, use your user ID and password. You can log in. It's really easy. The first thing you want to do is maybe go to your view youth roster, and if you've been to Goose Pond before, the people who were there the last time you were there will show up in there. So their schedules will be wiped out, but their names will still be in there. So if you have a lot of same scouts coming back, you don't have to add their names. And if you have a few scouts that dropped, you could drop them. So in this case, maybe Nathan isn't coming back this year, we can delete him. And maybe Carter isn't coming this year, we can delete him. And if you have any new scouts, all you have to do is quickly go in and add them in here. And add the scout, and you'll see that I'm on there. All right, so that's pretty easy. You can add your scouts in very easily that way. Once you have all your scouts just listed and added in there, you can go to the schedule. The schedule hasn't been wiped yet, so these is their schedules from last year, but when you get in there, we'll have wiped all that stuff out and you won't be able to see it. But since I'm a new scout, I can actually go in and edit my badges. I already know that I'm going to be taking life-saving, camping, sign signals and codes, lunch, and rifle. And so all you have to do is plug that in and hit update. And then, right? I was just picking random stuff. so there, my schedule shows up. That's really cool. And then on the far right side is some of our special sessions that you could sign up for as well. I'll talk more about these in a minute, but some of those by appointment special merit badges, mile swim, instructional swim, Voyager, Fellowship Fireman. So there's some stuff there as well that you could sign up scouts for under specials on the side. So be aware of those things. That's pretty much just straightforward there. Once you're done with all the merit badges, and once they're in, you can go back and change them as well if they're not locked in. So, for example, this Philip here, we can go in and edit his badges to some other things if we want to. Click update, and it's all done. All right, and when you're done with that, go back to your roster here. Sorry, go back to your main page, and it'll talk about your adult roster. View and edit your adult roster. So you can put in all your adults who are coming to camp and check the days in which they'll be coming and being at camp. Some of you have adults who are splitting weeks and coming various days, so there's a great way to do that. And the same thing, if you have a leader who's not coming anymore, you can delete that leader. And if you have any new leaders, you can add those folks in there as well. And for Adam, Adam's only going to be coming Thursday, Friday. I think it's easy with bifocals. Update, right? So that's good to go. When you add all your leaders in there, it's really easy. You go back to your main page. And at the end, you can print a roster out. So go to this printer-friendly roster, and you can print that out and use it to make your payments with, or use it for whatever you want. So that's pretty straightforward. This is just the merit badge roster again, just a different button for that. Again, this hasn't been, it's not updated, it's not ready yet. It hasn't been cleaned up. One of the other things we're adding to the registry this year, if you're new to the registry, it will probably be second nature to you, but if you're old to the registry, we'll be adding a male-female button for adults and youth in there. Again, that's going to help us plan and plan accordingly. So we're just going to ask you to check that box when you're putting your scouts in. All right. Hopefully that's pretty straightforward and pretty easy. It's easy to do. Again, watch your email. You'll be getting the credentials when it's ready and when it's open. All right. All right. Back to slides here. All right. We talked about the online registry. Prereqs and ratings, page 28. We're going to come out. We have a slide for that. Experience stuff, page 30 and 31, and special stuff, page 32. So let's take a look at that for a minute. On page 27 is the schedule, but on the website, there's a PDF, a two-page PDF that has this schedule on it. And on the back side has this schedule on it. And so that's a great handout. I kind of make that as a tool for you to maybe print out, give copies to your scouts for taking a look at that merit badge schedule so they can kind of easily see what's what we're offering at what times, and things like that. All right. Pretty straightforward. We threw in a couple of different badges this year. Indian lore got renamed to American Indian Cultures. So if you're looking for Indian lore, you won't find it. It's under American Indian Culture. And you can see what other badges are in there as well. So a couple other things. When you go onto the registry, if you click on something and it says waitlist, that means it's full. There's a few sessions that have caps on them. Not a lot, but there's a few sessions that have caps on them. Small boat sailing is one of them. Cooking is one of them. ATVs is one of them. So those have caps. If it says waitlist, that means it's full. I would advise having a backup ready to go and maybe putting it in at that point in time. If you really, really, really want that slot, you can leave the scout in the waitlist position, and we'll see what happens later. Maybe someone will drop out and maybe a spot will open up. But watch out for that WL. Just because it lets you click it, if it says WL, it means that scout does not necessarily have a spot in that badge. All right, so keep an eye on that. Again, for those of you new to Goose Pond, just our cooking merit badge is a 2-hour badge. There's one that starts at 11 and runs to 1. All right, well, ends at 12:50. And then there's another one at 12 that runs till 1:50 or 1:45. So there's two cooking sessions and they're 2 hours long and they kind of overlap. So that might look confusing on the schedule there, but when you see the notes there, you'll kind of now understand what I mean with the cooking. Um, the our kind of specialty or by appointment badges, bugling music, backpacking, hiking, bird study, insect study, plant science, and fly fishing. We do offer those for scouts who are prepared, who have done the work, who have the projects done, or have the skills ready to do those badges. So we don't have them on the regular schedule, but they can check those under the specials on the registry if they're ready and they want to do them. We will counsel those at a time and a appointment time that's made up with the area director early in the week. Um, Handicraft Duo, for what is that? So keep that in mind. Our Handicraft Duo is a choice of basketry and wood carving or basketry and leatherwork. So we can do two badges in the period of that 5-day slot. So that's a great first year badge at 1 o'clock for those scouts who are in pathways or whatever. There's another Handicraft Duo at 9 a.m. as well. So there's a 9 and a 1. For Handicraft Duo. There's a little more information about what Handicraft Duo is on page 29 in the middle there. There's a descriptor there, so if you're really still not sure what that means, it's written out. I think that's it. And then this is the reverse side of that page. Again, I would photocopy these together for your scouts, either back to back or whatever. This is that page 28 in the book, in the leader's guide. So there's lots of things going on this piece of paper, lots of information here squeezed into one page. A lot of things, a lot of merit badges were updated and revised in 2026 in the beginning of the year. So we will be using the 2026 requirements at Goose Pond. The QR code that's on that page takes you right to the national merit badge page. So you can check that out. And it works. So the QR code takes you right to the national page so you can look at those requirements and what they reference on here. And you can also see which ones were updated. So there's a little asterisk in front of the merit badges if it was changed this year. Some of those asterisk changes are very minor. They were wording or reorganizing of numbers of the requirements. Others were significant. So again, make sure that your scouts are working off the correct newest requirements right off the national merit badge page. All right. And that, again, the QR code goes right to it. The second column on there is the difficulty rating. Again, that's something that we as a staff have kind of put together and kind of give you an idea. The difficulties run from 1 to 5, 5 being the most difficult, 1 being the most basic or very easy. And you can see they run the gamut, right? And of course, there are some scouts who are younger who are ready for a 4 or 5, and there are some scouts who are older who still really need to be working on 1s and 2s. So you know your scouts, and you know their capabilities. So we put that in there just as it's a little bit objective, but still, I think over time, our staff has done a good job of kind of doing that. So it also tells you what the prerequisites are. Also, if there's a small fee for a badge, we've noted that in there as well. There are just a few badges left that have a fee to buy a small kit in the trading post. Archery, wood carving, leatherwork, basketry come to mind. There's a few others. Shotgun shooting is a bit of an expensive badge. It's gotten to be pricey. I didn't raise the price this year, but there is still a fee for shotgun. And the worse a shot you are, the more expensive it gets. So keep that in mind. Let's see. I think that's it. Just a note about first aid merit badge. First aid merit badge was revised last year significantly, and a lot of stuff was added to that badge. I'll leave my opinion out of it, but there's a lot of stuff in there. First aid is not a first year scout merit badge. I'm just telling you that. You can sign your scout up for it, but there's a lot of stuff that they are not going to get, and it's going to go over their head. Look at the requirements and you'll see yourself that you are deficient in most of the stuff. Unless you're a medical professional, there are things in there I guarantee you don't know a lot of, because I didn't know them either, right? But some of them are common sensey kind of things, but for the most part, first aid merit badge is not a first year merit badge, first year scouts. But you use your judgment. I leave that in your capable hands to make that decision. Because there's a first aid merit badge at 1 o'clock, oftentimes some of those scouts from Pathways end up in that program. And again, I would not recommend that, not recommend scouts from Pathways signing up for a first aid merit badge. Yeah, it's right. It's a prereq for pre-med. Thank you, Tony. That's a good joke. The requirements, the paragraph about what's required in advance is listed next to it there, so you can see that. All right. But again, that's a great sheet to hand out in advance at your scouts and it tells them what the prereqs are for the badges. Can you do some of these prereqs at camp? You probably could. A lot of them have been revised to do research online, so you kind of really have to do that in advance. And it's something you can do quick at home. It doesn't take long. A lot of the career requirements that are in the merit badges, that last requirement for most of the merit badges is about careers. Some of them only give you an option to go online and research about the career and then do something. So keep an eye on that. Beware of that. There's also lots of digital online on the where the QR code takes you. There's a lot of digital resources to learn about the merit badges. So the merit badge pamphlets are still good. They're printing those, but most of them are available digitally as well. And then the page where the merit badges are on national again has a lot of digital resources to help learn, to help understand, to give you examples. There's tons of great resources out there. So um, I I hate to see scouts get, partialed out because they absolutely did zero before they showed up at camp and then they're going home with zero too, but we don't want to see that. So again, try and have your scouts be prepared. Um, I think that's all I wanted to talk about there. Again, we do still use blue cards at Goose Pond. Again, it's just a tracking device by Scoutmasters. By you putting your scouts into the merit badge registry, that tells us that you've approved that badge for that scout to take. So you don't have to sign the blue card, but we will use the blue card as a tracking thing to tell you at the end this is completed or this is a partial, and these are the requirements that got completed as the partial. So we'll give that back to you, and you can put that into Scout Book the way you want. We've talked about some people. We tried to ask and say, hey, do you want us to integrate our registry into Scout Book? Do we want to move in that direction? And the vast majority of the Scout troops I talked to said, we are more than happy to put our own stuff in at the end of the week. Give us everything that we've earned, and we would like to do that ourselves. Most of the good advancement people say that the Scout Book stuff doesn't match up really well, and there's a lot of errors sometimes. They'd rather go off the paper and go and put that in on their own. So we're kind of still doing that. We're in the dark ages, maybe a little on that, but we're still using blue cards. I don't care if they're blue, you could photocopy them, but it is nice if they're rippable and we can give them back to you. Or if they're on heavier stock, but whatever. We still use those as a tracking device at camp. So good question there. All right, moving on. Some of our experience stuff, our experience scouts is there on page 30. We have a great COPE program. There's some options for COPE. There's a week-long COPE that runs from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock every day for those older scouts. That's a great program. Sheila, our COPE director, does a really nice job with our COPE program there. So there's some options there on page 30 for the COPE program. And that 1 to 3 week-long COPE is available on the registry to sign up for that. We have a good number of our older scouts do that, and they really enjoy doing the COPE program together week-long.
Long pants for that.
I don't think so. I think we've kind of done away with that. But it'll tell you on the prereqs what you need for the COPE adventure just to be age 13. So there are some age, just back to the prereqs, there are some age restrictions on some of those things. So keep an eye on that as well when you're signing up your scouts, right? Some of those older badges, so citizenships and communications, we've kind of thrown those into our summer camp program for those older scouts who are working toward Eagle, who want to maybe get something that's a little bit off the outdoor grid, and maybe they're getting closer to Eagle to do that. So, we don't want those first or second year scouts signing up for Sit Nation and communications and some of those other things. So watch those age requirements on some of those badges. Just some stuff on our ATV program. We're continuing our ATV program. The national partnership with Polaris has ended, but we purchased out the ATVs from Polaris, so we're going to continue to move forward with that. Scouting is still allowing it. It's a great program. And these are the requirements for ATVs. You must be 14, right? You can't be almost 13, almost 14. You can't be turning 14 the week you come home from camp. You have to be 14 by the first day you sit on that ATV. So it's the 21st birthday thing, right? You can't go and get a drink until it's your 21st birthday, right? Don't ask. There's no exceptions. ATVs, you must be 14. Can you make an exception? No, I can't make an exception. Complete and submit their participation to hold harmless aggriever on Sunday. So there's a couple things you got to do for the ATVs. You got to have your parent and the participant sign that waiver. All right, it's on the website. Fill that out and sign it. Both of them need to sign it and bring it to camp on Sunday, not on Monday or Tuesday, on Sunday. Um, Complete the online training module in advance and submit the completion certificate on Sunday, right? So on page 31. The QR code is there for that as well as the website. They have to do that in advance. It's really hard for them to do that when they get to camp. If they don't have that certification done, that online certification done when they get to camp, it's really hard for them to do it. All right, so that needs to be done in advance and turned in on Sunday. Come prepared with the personal required shoes as described. That guy in the picture there, he's got everything. He's got his long sleeve shirt, long pants, and over the ankle shoes. All right, so be prepared with that. That's something we could figure out for you if you don't have that when you come to camp, and then turn in the $35 fee on Sunday. All right, that had been a $25 fee. It did go up to $35, unfortunately, but keep that in mind. So we need those things on Sunday, right? And then on the bottom there is another little asterisk that I unfortunately had to add in this year. Troops who scouts who sign up for the course but do not complete these prerequisites are still responsible for the fee if the slot cannot be filled. So when Scoutmasters, when you sign up those 14-year-old and ups for ATVs, you need to make sure that they're doing their diligence to get the stuff done in advance, right? That so many scouts were on the wait list for ATVs last year, and they didn't get in, and we had scouts come to camp who just, oh, I didn't know I had to do that. I didn't know I needed to get that done. I wasn't aware. My parent didn't sign the thing. So we had lost spots last year for scouts who really wanted them. And they were lost because scouts were not doing their diligence to be prepared. All right, so be prepared. ATVs, be prepared. That's all I'm going to say about that. Page 31 also, our Voyager program. Again, we're still running that. It's been very good for the scouts who participated in it. It hasn't been super popular, but it's a great cool guy program, behind the scenes tour of Goose Pond. We work with you. We do some special stuff. Scouts kind of do a little bit of what they want to do. And we have a dedicated person for that this year, so that's going to be good. If you want to learn more about what the Voyager program is, kind of what it entails, there's a descriptor there on page 31. Again, that's for older scouts, 15 and up, generally. Sorry, page 32 is kind of our special weird stuff people ask about. So there's a bunch of our special program stuff that we do, the tote and ship, the mile swim. How do we do all that stuff? What do we do? Snorkeling. So those are some of the things that we generally offer at camp in advance. Let you know in advance that we're offering them, all that kind of stuff. So there's some specials and other cool things that are going on there on page 32. You can check that stuff out. You can also share that with your scouts in advance also. Couple things on the website. There's two documents. One is a photo form and one's a food and fare form. Oftentimes people come to camp and they didn't know we were going to take pictures. And if you want to get a picture of your troop, there's a form for that, and you can kind of talk to people in advance about that. If they want to order one, if they want to buy one. If you don't want one, that's fine. If you don't want to take a picture, that's fine. But we do have that opportunity. We take your picture. If you do take your picture, we put it in our slideshow at the end of the week. But if you don't want to buy any, that's okay. But that is an availability to do. So you can do that. And then the other thing is our food and fare form. So it's called food and fare. There's a Wednesday dinner option on there. If you just want to eat in the dining hall as usual, that's fine. But there's also an option to do a cookout if you want. So you can do that. Or some troops do like to do their own thing for a dinner. Wednesday night's the great night to do that. So if you want to plan and you want to do a meal in your campsite, and you're planning for that in advance, Wednesday night's a great opportunity to do that. So check out that form and see what those options are. Again, we'll be offering the ice cream sundae option, a couple other things on there. So look it out. If you want to order firewood in advance, there's a firewood option on that form. So there's a bunch of different things on there. So check that out. Oftentimes I think people miss those two forms and don't realize they're available. Visitors and family, a little bit on page 33. Again, we're kind of a kind of a low key on visitors at Goose Pond. We kind of did away with our family night after COVID, and that seems to be pretty good for everybody. I do know there's still some troops out there who still want to have a family night. If you want to do that, you need to coordinate that on your own, and Wednesday's the night to do it after 5 p.m. So there's some options there on the food and fare form. If you want to invite families up to do that, you can do that. The other big thing is if you have visitors coming to camp, if you have one or two visitors during the week coming up, that's fine. They want to walk around, they want to visit, that's fine. But if you're having massive amounts of people coming up on Wednesday night, you need to be responsible for those people. All right. You need to meet those people at a designated spot in the parking lot and escort them into camp, and kind of be responsible for them. That's one of my, it's the only thing I don't like that some of the troops are doing. They're bringing visitors into camp and they're not really being responsible for their visitors. And they're kind of wandering about and not knowing where they're going. They don't know what to do. So if you're planning a family night, please coordinate that. Kind of have the corners and the seams wrapped up pretty tight on that, so that everybody knows what's going on in camp. That's the biggest thing. Some of you are very good about it, and some of you aren't. And most of you who are not bringing visitors to camp, kudos for you. All right, kudos to you. But there's some information there on the top of page 33 about our visitors, extra meal fees, some other stuff that goes on at camp. Order the Arrow Night will be again on Thursdays. A little bit about fishing camp. That's always been a question, so we added that in. A couple other things there. Back on the slide. We're getting our artwork together for our t-shirts. They should have those out earlier than normal this year, so keep an eye out for that. When the t-shirt pre-order form comes out, I'll email that to everybody, and I'll put it on the website. There's a spot on there now. It just says coming soon. There's nothing there. Assuming there's no major tariffs or changes on stuff for t-shirts, we hope the price will remain around $15. Again, keep your email together. I would recommend ordering t-shirts in advance. Pre-order them as soon as you can if you want to do camp t-shirts. We usually have a picture of the shirt with the colors available on the order form, so you can kind of get an idea of that. And I will say, I do fill those orders in the order that they are received and paid. So you send your t-shirt order forms in, wherever you send them to the office or you get them to camp or whatever. I do fill those orders in the order they are received. So sometimes we're a little bit out of certain sizes or colors, and we'll substitute on that. But the earlier you get them in, the better. So keep an eye out for the t-shirt order form. Pre-swim classifications, troops often ask me about that. If we want to do our swim checks in advance, yes, you can. There's a form on the website for that. We do ask that the person who's doing the swim checks fit into a qualified individual category, and that list of qualifications is listed on the form of who can actually do swim checks, and how to go through that process. So if you don't want to wait at the waterfront to do your swim classifications, you can do them in advance with a qualified lifeguard or aquatics person. Check out the form. It gives you the instructions on what to do, and you can send that up to us in advance. And we're happy to oblige on that. And then, of course, the Leader's Guide has all the information in it, as well as the website with all the stuff on it. Here's the page on the Leader's Guide. For those of you who are at home, maybe you already went there, but those of you in the room, it kind of looks like this. If you go to the Leaders page, this is just a screenshot from today from the page, so everything's there. Just quick rundown. Of course, the first thing up there is the Camp Leaders Guide. The second thing is that advancement schedule with the prereqs, that handout I talked about, maybe that you want to use. The fees planning sheet, if you need that, that's been up for a long time. That's an older document that's been there. That Cliff Notes or quick check-in notes page where I talked about what's going to happen on day one and what to be prepared for. That's what that next document is. That unit analysis and special needs, and then the dietary needs form, we talked about that. Release of minors form, we didn't mention that, but if you have scouts who are leaving camp during the week with someone other than a parent or guardian, they need to have a release form on file. They don't need that for Saturday mornings. We're assuming that's all prearranged. But if they're leaving, someone's picking up. Aunt Sophie from Breslow is coming to pick up Scott because he has an all-star game. We need a form on file to release Scott to Aunt Sophie. So that's what that form is for, and it explains that on there. There's that food and fare specials form I mentioned, the photo order form, t-shirt order form, the medical form, that takes you, that's not a downloadable, that goes right to the national webpage, that link. The campership form, the ATV information, the training information, the waiver is all right, part of that packet. I think it's 2 pages, it might actually be 3. The reservation chart that I just showed you on the slide is on there, so if you couldn't see it, you could check it out there. There's a new scout brochure on there. Sometimes people have asked us if we had something that we could hand to parents who maybe don't know anything about summer camp that's not overwhelming. So there's a little brochure there. You can print it out and give it to your new scouts. There's some hard copies in the back of the room here today if you want to use those. The pre-swim classification procedures and the form for that, the provisional form. That troop roster form is just a generic form. If you're looking for a generic form to put some names on and submit with a payment, that's all that is. But you could also generate your roster right from the online registry if you're ready for that. A refund policy, and then that 2026 reservation form will replace it with a 27 in short time. But that's what's on the webpage, on the leaders page, as far as that goes. Some commercials. I have some commercials here as we near the end. Oh, we did pretty good here today. Working on camp staff is a tremendous opportunity. If you talk to anybody who's worked on camp staff, they'll tell you it was highly rewarding. As somebody who's watched scouts go through the program in scouting, and those scouts who worked on camp staff, it's just an amazing process to watch and to behold. The things you learn at camp on staff are things that you will learn nowhere else. There are all kinds of things that will help you become a more independent, more mature person a lot faster. And I'm only saying that because I believe in it. Our CAT program, we're always looking for CATs. We got about 8 or 9, I think, signed up now. We could take 10 or 12, maybe at the most. So we have a couple more CAT spots if anybody wants. And then our paid staff, 15 and up. We're always looking for adults 18 or older too. So if any of you retired guys want to come up and work at camp this summer, let me know. We're interviewing for all sorts of positions. We'd love to have you. Apply online. There's some great pictures of our happy staff from last year there. But we are I'm putting that puzzle together as well right now. The more information I have about who wants to work at camp now is the big helpful thing. So at Goose Pond, we haven't done there's nothing about this in the leader's guide, and people often ask me, what's your theme at camp this year? And at Goose Pond, we really haven't done a theme. I always kind of leave the themes to the Cub Scout camps. They do a great job with that. But we kind of thought maybe this year we might do a little, since it's the 250th, we might do a little vibe on that. So we're planning some special things related to the 250th. Maybe your troop will too. So I'm just throwing it out there. Right? Something to think about, right? Couple commercials about some things that are coming up. The best youth leadership training available is the NYLT course. Miss Tammy Joe is in the back. She's our scoutmaster for that this year. That's coming up. We still have plenty of spots available for that. In or out of council, you're welcome to attend. We'd love to have you. There's more information about what NYLT is on page 30 if you want. And for those adults who have not taken Wood Badge yet, we'd love to have you. Rick Stritzinger is our scoutmaster for that. And we have a course coming up, 2 weekends in August and September. I believe the first weekend's at Goose Pond and the second weekend is at Camp Akahila. So check those out. There's the web addresses for those. Those are on the council website, nepabsa.org. We'd love to see you. We'd love to have you. Got lots of room, lots of spaces available. Just kind of a snapshot, some upcoming dates for you guys just to think about. For those of you from our council or out of our council, you're welcome to attend our troop outdoor leader training for Scoutmasters and Assistant Scoutmasters, otherwise known as IOLS, Introduction to Outdoor Leadership Skills, April 17th and 18th at Akahila. For those of you who might be involved with Cub Scouting, you want to take Cub Scouts camping, we're also running concurrently Baloo training that same weekend. Our CIT orientation is April 13th. So if you have any scouts who want to be CITs, try and get those applications in to me beforehand. Applications are on the website. I also have some hard copies in the back. Campership applications, April 15th. Remember, first round. Online registry opens when? April 15th-ish. Ish, right. So keep an eye out for that. The NYLT course we talked about. We have a hammer and saw day at Goose Pond. We'd love to have the more the merrier. Come on out, May 9th. We provide lunch. We try and get the camp ready and cleaned up. Great service, great opportunities for conservation and service projects if needed. May 15th, camp payments due in full for discount. That's the magic day. Keep that in mind. And then May 31st, we're also having a log splitting tree cleanup day on May 31st. So if anybody's looking for an alternate date, maybe from May 9th, let me know. We'd love to use that. We could use some older scouts / adults for that May 31st day. So what's next? What can you guys expect next? Watch your email for updated information about the registry login. That's coming up next, and any additional news. Watch your email for final confirmation closer to your camp date. So early June, I'll probably send out another email with a lot of stuff in it, including the campsite assignments. Um, Mostly permanent, but kind of sort of tentative. So keep that in. And then I usually send everybody an email about a week before, about the Monday before you're coming to camp, about just reminders. This is what we have. Here's the final campsite assignments. There's an attachment with all the stuff you need to know. So hopefully that's getting shared with the person in charge. So watch for that. Anybody has any concerns or ideas, please email me. Website or email is a great place to find out information. The recording from this meeting will be posted in a couple days as soon as I can get it formatted and uploaded. It'll be posted on the webpage, so you can share that around as well. And of course, our website has a lot of good stuff. Can't wait to see you around the pond. So what I am going to do is go to the chat at this point, and kind of start answering any of the questions in the chat that were not already answered, hopefully. And if there's any questions from the room as well, anybody have any questions that are in the room tonight? Or you can hang around after if you want and ask me any questions. Um, that's on the website. Yep, it's on the website. You can download it on the website. All the forms on the website are fillable too, so you can type right in them. I learned how to do that a couple years ago, and I've been a master at that. So, let's see here. If our troop has 2 leaders that would like to split the week, can we just pay for the week, one whole leader? Yes. So if you have enough leaders that are switching out, but it kind of makes up 1 week, just pay for 1 leader fee. You don't have to pay each one individually. That's a great question. So if you have 3 or 4 or 2 leaders making up a week, just pay 1 leader fee. We have a scout interested in staff. I think we covered that. Please advance the slides. We got that. Do debit cards incur a 3% finance fee? Yes, because that's what the cardholder fees generally do that. I'm pretty sure that's the case. I will double check on that, but I'm pretty sure that debit cards fall into credit card rates on the 3%. If that's someone special, someone specific, Michael, if you want to check on that, I can double check on that and let you know. Troop 147, I don't have you on the schedule. I'll make sure we do that. I did say no bikes. Is there a double block merit badge for life saving? No, the only double block merit badge is cooking. Cooking is the only double block merit badge. Uh, can we get the registry set up in advance of the opening day? No, April 15th. It's not going to be ready until April 15th. Will the special sessions overlap the merit badges selected? Not usually. Most of the special stuff that we offer do not overlap the traditional 9 to 1 merit badge sessions. It's usually in the afternoons or at a time when the scout has time. When we get the lesson, we talked about that. Merit badges are offered. I missed the Indian lore update on 10 o'clock. Thank you, Kevin. I do make mistakes, much to my own chagrin. I have a scout that selects and gets canoeing at 9. That's what they do every day of camp at 9 a.m. Correct, right? So if you sign up for a 9 o'clock session of canoeing, they do 9 o'clock and canoeing every day at 9 o'clock. So yeah, good point. My troop just did first aid and it took 6 meetings. Yeah, so somebody was just kind of acknowledging that. Can you speak about the activities to pathway scouts in the afternoon? Some activities are not necessarily age appropriate. There's plenty of stuff for younger scouts to do in the afternoons, trust me. Some stuff's just for fun. If they want to just go fishing or swimming or shooting at the ranges, they could do that as well. Blue cards go to the scouts with the on Monday, preferably. Hopefully, if you could send them, that'd be great. Yes. How many scouts a week can sign up for ATV? We have 4 slots, and there's 6 sessions in each slot, so that's what 24. I can still do my multiplication tables. 24 scouts a week can sign up for ATVs. Yes, it does fill up. So that's definitely one of those things that sometimes books quickly. So if you have scouts who are interested in ATV, that's one of the first things you want to put into that registry is plug in those scouts that definitely want to do ATV and are going to commit to that. The resource guide is phenomenal. Will this recording? Yes, this will be recorded and available later. Campership is for in-council only. Yes, I'm sorry. Um, Cooking slots, I think cap out at 20, just for logistical purposes. So there's 2 sessions, so we can take 40 a week, but we do cap out cooking, I believe, at 20. Don't hold me to that, but it's something like that. For waitlisted, is there a lottery? No, there really isn't. But if you have somebody who's really, really on something and they want a wait list, just send me a message and I can work the back end on that. Um, what can be expected at each campsite? There is a page in the book that talks about what's in each campsite, but that's a good question. There are some old, a little bit older videos on the website of what some of the campsites look like. Some of them have been updated, and we haven't updated the videos because that's a lot of work. But the all of our campsites have tents with platforms, platform 2-man tents with canvas cots. There's a hard shelter pavilion of some sort in each of the campsites. There's a latrine in every campsite. There's a flagpole in every campsite. Pretty typical, from what I've seen in other camps, very typical. Although the newer hard shelter pavilions are nice because there's, again, one in every site. A bunch of picnic tables. I don't know, what did I miss? Running, there is running water at the campsites. Um,
Plenty of sunshine here.
Plenty of sunshine, plenty of deer, wildlife. Can applications be filled online for camp, or would you prefer applications dropped off? I'm not sure what kind of applications are. I'm thinking camp staff applications. Yes, they can be filled on. They're fillable. The applications are fillable and can be emailed to me, or you can drop them off, or put them in the mail. The U.S. Post Office still works. Recommended plastic covers for tents in case of rain. I don't recommend that. CPAP machines, question mark. If you're an adult who needs a CPAP machine, I'm thinking by now you probably already bought a pretty cool battery that you can use to take camping with you. If you haven't done that, you can probably I would recommend maybe going on and researching that. Buy yourself a battery, rechargeable battery for your CPAP machine. They're very affordable. Their technology is really great now. If you don't have one, I have a few you could borrow at camp. And there's plenty of places in camp to charge your battery up during the day. When will we know the exact check-in time? Check-in is anytime between 1 and 3. If you arrive there at 1, we try to get everybody going right into the camp, and it kind of does that. Sometimes there's a little bit of a bottleneck, but not usually. So we ask you to try to get there before 3, but no earlier than 1. So we don't assign a specific time. Did not see explore view of mess hall. Is that on your site? I'm not sure if there's still a picture of the interior of the mess hall on there, but there's a lot of pictures floating around of kind of what the mess hall looks like. If you want to nose around on on the YouTube channel and some of that, you'll see a lot of pictures of scouts in the dining hall. When are the troop photos taken? When you read your check-in process, you'll see that's done right at the beginning, before you come into camp, right at the front gate. When you check in, you're going to meet at our shale pit parking lot. Your campsite host is going to gather everybody up and take you into camp. And the first thing you're going to do is cross the road and go to the main gate and get your picture taken. So be prepared for that. Once you start reading through some of the documentation, you'll see that that's noted in there and how to be prepared and ready for that. So I don't see any other questions, but if you want to still pop them in, you certainly can.
I have a question. Can I chime
Sure.
in verbally?
Sure.
So I asked a question about the lottery. So with badges with limited slots, then how are the kids picked? Is it first come, first serve then, or?
Yeah, so it's really by a check-in. So if you have somebody who's waitlisted and you want to leave them in that waitlist spot, and you can go back into the online registry and check to see if it opened up, and you could reschedule them for that slot. But it doesn't automatically put them into that slot if a spot opens up.
Well, you said check-in. Sorry, I'm new to this camp, so first time for here. So I don't understand, like, so for putting kids in slots for badges with limited space, how is that done?
First come, first serve, basically.
Okay. First come,
Yeah.
first serve. Okay.
Yeah,
All
first
right.
come, first
Good to
serve.
know. Okay.
Again,
Thank you.
we don't have a lot of caps on a lot of things. There's a few, right? There's a few. ATV is a hard one. I mean, we only have so many machines, right? We can't do a pro. I can't say, can you squeeze another guy in? No, I can't. I don't have another machine. So
Right. No, I get it. Okay,
So
thank
we
you.
can do that. But most of our badges do not have caps on them. Sometimes we open a session of a badge. We reassign some staff and we open up a second session if there's too many. We've done that in the past. Sailboats is another one, right? It's hard to do small boat sailing. Sometimes we can squeeze another scout in or two if they're on the wait list, but those are two that come to mind. But even the cooking, we haven't capped out on that really too much in the last few years. So there's really not too much to worry about. You don't have to wait online for the merit badge registry to open and then keep refreshing to try to get it's not like that, right? So
Gotcha.
I would say, the earlier the better, right? If you're one of those troops that starts putting your scouts into the registry, like in June 27th, a lot of things may be already filled. So
Right. No, I get it.
earlier
Yep.
the better. Earlier the better.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Okay. Um, I don't have anything else. If anybody wants to stick around or put some other stuff in the chat, we can definitely do that. Thanks for joining us tonight. Thank you for all the great recommendations on Goose Pond. Thank you all for being scout leaders. My hat is off to you as always. You're awesome people for the dedication, the time, and stuff you put in to help our youth be better people in the future. I admire that a great deal. So thank you very much. Thanks for joining. Those in the room, if you have any questions, you want to hang out, that's fine. If anyone else has any questions online, you can stick around if you want, and I'll come back and we can talk about that as well. So there was another ATV question for the ATV. Is there only 24 slots? How do you determine which gets selected? First come, first serve. First come, first serve. Thank you all very much. I'm going to stop recording.